Philando, last week you were pulled over for a broken taillight, and a few minutes later an officer had shot you 4 times in the chest. Your fiancé live-streamed the whole thing, and the whole world watched in absolute horror as you died, a black man shot by a white cop. The nation revolted and 5 white police officers were shot and killed in Dallas a few days later. It's too much to bear. I hope you don't feel like it's insensitive or crass to draw comparisons between the diversity problems in the tech community and the events in Minnesota, Louisiana, and Dallas, because I think it all comes from the same dark place, our invisible brain. My favorite way to think about culture is like a brain for a collection of people, and that brain has influence over us, for better or for worse, even if we don't know it. This is true of a company's culture, it's true of a country's culture, it's true of a school or a club. The culture is a set of learned behaviors, sometimes unspoken principles, values, whatever you want to call them. It's the stuff that creates the way we think and talk and react and emote. In some cases, we aren't even aware that culture, this invisible brain, is driving all of our decisions. Some people call that unconscious bias, but my problem with that term is that as soon as you say it, people feel like they're too smart to have unconscious bias. They say, I'm not racist, and even if you tell me I'm racist, then in my heart of hearts, I know that I'm actually a good person and I'm not actually biased against people. And yet research shows that unconscious bias has actually real effects over all of our lives, in particular our workplaces. I can't emphasize this enough. Culture, whether you call it unconscious bias or something else, isn't a fake thing. This isn't something that researchers concocted to drive some arbitrary political agenda. This isn't something that only weak-minded stormtroopers are subject to. Everyone, you and me and your parents and your kids and your friends and all of the systems that we build are subject to the influence of culture. And it doesn't come from a place of malice or dark intention. That's important because it points to a truth about where the fault and the agency lie. Because the truth is, you weren't just killed by a policeman. You were killed by culture. You weren't murdered by another person. You were murdered by generations of people and repeated behavior and momentum and companies full of white VPs and movies about black convicts and a recruiting funnel filled with only people from San Francisco. And an HR department that doesn't train their managers in unconscious bias, and tech company employees who say, well, I'm not racist, and then stop the conversation. You were killed when all of that context swelled up in the invisible brain and then pulled the trigger on the gun of a heated police officer. If you're in tech, then the invisible brain can get someone fired. But if you're a police officer, then the invisible brain can get someone killed. And it doesn't matter if your office is a startup in San Francisco or the streets of Louisiana. What matters is that the invisible brain is driving all of our actions and emotions and decisions all day, every day, even if we think we're too smart and too self-aware to know better. Minneapolis attorney Thomas Kelly, who's representing the cop who shot you, said on Saturday, "This has nothing to do with race. This has everything to do with the presence of a gun." This completely misses the point and prompts a useless argument about the cop and whether or not he is a racist. You gotta be joking me. Let's stop talking about this cop and whether or not he's a racist and start talking about our culture, our norms, our systems, our hiring policies, the invisible brain that's influencing everything we do. You can spend 1,000,000 hours asking whether this cop is a racist and did he see the gun first, and you're spending 1,000,000 hours asking the wrong questions. To spend time talking about that policeman's intentions is basically absolving ourselves for the responsibility of your death. Yes, police bias against black people is a very studied and well-known phenomenon. The New York Times just released more data about this morning. But the police alone can't fix this. We can. I can. The people watching this video can. Culture doesn't change because of an institution or a policy or a law. In the 21st century, those things catch up to culture. Culture change requires groundswell. Culture changes 1 inch at a time, 1 phone call, 1 gender-inclusive bathroom sign, 1 sentence uttered by a hiring manager asking a recruiting firm to find more women candidates. 1 employee urging the executive team to institute the Rooney Rule for C-level hires. 1 partner at 1 VC firm that encourages their founders and CEOs to think about diversity and inclusion early on. Culture changes because a group of people realize that they are being influenced by this invisible brain that's driving everything they make and everything they do. I'd like to ask employees and leaders in tech to say the following 4 sentences and mean them. My company killed Philando Castile. My company's systems and processes, unbeknownst to me and through no intentional malice, propagate the status quo. My company propels forward a baseline of context, a context in which a policeman pulled a gun on a man reaching for his license and registration. By not acting, by not purposefully and intentionally closing the diversity gap in my company, I willingly accept this context and the actions it drives. If you don't feel comfortable saying those sentences, then fucking do something right now. It doesn't have to be a big thing. Start a diversity and inclusion Slack channel with your team. Read some of the links down below to educate yourself. Schedule a D&I brainstorm with your team and tell them it matters to you, but you don't know what to do. You just want to do something. Culture changes through persistence, through small incremental inches over long periods of time. Culture doesn't change by declaring, "I'm not racist," and then letting the invisible brain have its way with our behavior. My heart goes out to you and your family, Philando, and everyone grieving for you. Your death was horrific and inexcusable, and future generations will live in a better world. A world in which your death is one of the inches, one of the moments that drove action, one of the lessons taught in schools, and one of the stories always remembered by a new, better brain.